It's all heirlooms, antiques and taxidermy too. Apparently, Sarah Beanie's on the hunt for a mini museum. Her new life in the country continues in an hour after the Channel 4 News with Cathy Newman and Jackie Long.
Chumminess and Chinooks at Chequers as Ukraine's President Zelensky has promised an array of weaponry by the man he calls his friend. But can Western weapons change the course of the war? Good evening. Britain is the fifth European country President Zelensky has visited in just 3 days as he bolsters his arsenal before embarking on a counter-offensive against Russia. The UK, second only to the US in providing weapons to Ukraine, promised hundreds of air defence missiles and armed drones. But Mr Zelensky says he's desperate for fighter jets, which Britain can't supply. Instead, Rishi Sunak did repeat his pledge to train pilots in what the Ukrainian president called a jets coalition. After months in which NATO countries have stalled over the delivery of weapons, is this a coalition of the willing enough?
Also tonight, protesters stopped the Home Secretary in her tracks. Hecklers are led away after interrupting Suella Braverman seconds into a speech on immigration at a US-organised Conservative conference. Turkey's President Erdogan heads into the country's first ever presidential runoff vote in the elections as he vies to win a third term. And it was set up to scrutinise why mothers and babies were harmed or had died during childbirth to stop it happening again. But in an exclusive report, whistleblowers told us they had warned the Healthcare Safety Investigation Branch to halt its maternity programme over safety concerns.
When HSIB reaches conclusions about what happened in a case and what went wrong, they don't have any way of enforcing change. It doesn't have any teeth.
Promising we aren't going away, Britain has pledged hundreds of long-range attack drones and missiles for Ukraine as Rishi Sunak hosted President Zelensky for talks at Chequers. The two leaders hugged as Mr Sunak said Ukraine's bravery and fortitude in the face of Russia's aggression were an inspiration to us all. The UK has provided the Ukrainians with longer-range weapons than any other country as Ukraine prepares to launch its expected counter-offensive. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, reports. After the break, we catch up with Professor Green. He's at a new immersive artwork about anxiety as part of his campaign to help more men feel comfortable talking openly about their mental health. Welcome back. Now, it's the start of Mental Health Awareness Week, and some prominent celebrities are helping that aim by talking publicly about their own struggles with mental health. Like the rapper Stephen Manderson, better known as Professor Green, who spent this morning at a new immersive artwork, Monolith, which reveals the rising panic in real time as more and more people crowd in to see it. I went along to meet Professor Green at London's Outernet, and I started by asking about his mission to get more men talking about their mental health. Tonight's main news, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made a surprise visit to the UK for talks with Rishi Sunak on military aid. Britain pledged more long-range attack drones and air defence missiles to help Ukraine in its fight against Russia's occupation. As Mr Zelensky said, he was very pleased with the outcome of his trip to Europe. And before we go, this programme was awarded a Bafta last night, recognising our coverage on the first day of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Matt Fry went on stage to accept the award and dedicated it to the many Ukrainians who've worked with our teams on the ground and the Ukrainian journalists who live with constant risk to report on what's happening in their country.
We news people only ever get to go on these stages because we reported on something that's truly dreadful. So let's remember the translators, the drivers, the fixers, the security people who are stuck in Ukraine. Let's remember the people of Ukraine who cannot be here tonight, who can't leave their country.
Matt Fry there. That is all we have time for this evening. We're back at 7 tomorrow night. Until then, That's Channel 4 News. Very good evening to you.
It's getting steamy out there. DeLonghi Bean to Cup coffee machines sponsor Weather on 4.